Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis, Feo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode of This Guy Hasn't Seen. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host and running mate, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Don't worry. I love, I love doing this thing. This thing is my favorite thing. I love doing it, trading these things back and forth. One guy has seen it, and one guy has not. This guy hasn't seen. And it's a wrestling week, baby, because we just had WrestleMania.
Gotta be like top three characters ever created. Fucking Macho Man Randy Savage. Just the vocal cadence is perfect. Like it's perfect for impressions. It's just always
Yeah.
good for a laugh. I love it. Yeah, yes, that is right. It's WrestleMania season, baby. Hence the American glasses. Nothing's more American than mania. You know what I'm saying? Actually, it's worldwide, baby. It's a worldwide phenomenon. The Worldwide Wrestling Federation, or entertainment as it is now. Bottom line is, we're talking about some WrestleMania matches because it's WrestleMania season, and we decided to do something fun. We decided to, because it's WrestleMania season, and because WWE decided to be ever so helpful in this time, where they listed the top, what, 50?
50.
Top 50 greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. We decided to do our things in, relation to that. We decided to pick from that list because, after Cody beat Cena last weekend, we decided we'd follow it up with a Mania thing. That's how it goes. Shout out
Um,
to, well, wait, no. Yeah, no. Cody beat Cena, and Jay upsetting Gunther. It was a crazy Mania. But
could we run through a little bit of this list right now?
yeah,
Can we use can we use a portion of this show to talk about that?
yeah, we can talk about that
Possibly?
list because
Yeah.
it'll come into play with the matches we ended up choosing because I noticed.
Yeah. So yeah, WWE on their YouTube channel. It's a pretty cool YouTube channel. They're doing a few cool things on YouTube. They got WWE channel, they got WWE Vault. They got a new WCW YouTube channel that's just playing like full episodes of freaking Nitro and
Really?
different full matches and stuff like that. And then a WWE Vault page that gives you weird behind the scenes footage
Okay.
and different found footage things from out the years. This sounds like an ad. It's not. It's a lot of cool
Yeah, we,
WWE
we,
YouTube
we
stuff.
can't get ads
Um, uh, but yeah, they did 50 greatest WrestleMania matches this year, which feel I guess they didn't want to wait
till
eight
WrestleMania
eight more
50.
years to
Not the top, and top 42 just didn't have the same ring to it.
right, I guess. But yeah, do you have any thoughts? I mean, what do you want? How do you want to approach this? So, like, what can you think of? What is
I
yours? Like, what's your number one?
my number one is not what it probably my number one is Rock Stone Cold X7 because of time and place and what that meant to me. I think that was
Okay.
one of my first
Featured
pay-per-views.
featured number five on this countdown.
Yes, number
Nice.
five on this countdown. I'm not surprised that there were other at some of the matches that were above it, like the number one the match that won number one. I would have guessed should have at least been like two, if not one itself.
As soon as they started the countdown, I kind of knew it was going to be either what ended up being one or two. I feel
Mm.
like either one of those. I'm kind of since they're putting
I did
Bret
not
Hart
expect number
Stone
three to
Cold,
be that high.
uh yeah, that's surprising, but a lot of people have a lot of fondness for that match.
Fair enough.
in hindsight. It's surprising that it's already getting like nostalgia pump up, but I maybe because it's Hogan, but also Hogan's so divisive. But yeah, just a lot of people love the icon versus icon match. Um, but yeah, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold or Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. I feel like either one of those could have been number one. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold is getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this year as the first ever match inducted to the Hall of Fame.
They're
So
starting
it's a
to have
little weird that they
matches.
didn't yeah, this is going to be the first year that well they're calling it WrestleMania they're calling it Hall of Fame moments.
Okay.
The
Hall of
very
Fame
first Hall of Fame
moments.
moment is going to be the Bret Hart Stone Cold WrestleMania match.
Okay.
Um, little weird that then you put it at number two in your countdown. Um,
Wait, so
but
this make does this make Brett and Stone Cold now two-time Hall of Famers?
that there was somebody that was oh it was Booker T. Booker T immediately like the following day on his personal podcast came out and was like they better not get a ring. They better not get a ring for this. Like as he's holding up his hand with two rings for Harlem Heat and his
And being
personal career.
himself.
Yeah, he's just like
Look, Taker.
we better not start handing out rings for these things. You get
Look,
a plaque. This is a plaque moment.
look. If especially if they're only doing one a year, trust me, like it'll be fine. Also, some people are going to end up being two-time. There are going to be more two-time ring holders as it goes on. But yeah.
Um, Yeah, for me, obviously, what ended up being number two is a real big match of mine, the Bret Hart Stone Cold one. I showed it here on this channel.
Mhm.
The Undertaker Shawn Michaels one, you got to show me. That's an incredible match of two characters that I really love, but I feel like I have to drop it down because I wasn't an active watcher at the time. I just kind of
So I'm
got
not sure if I showed you this one or Taker versus Shawn 2 with the retirement.
I feel like it was the first one, and
Okay.
then you were able to, because of that, you were able to give me the lead in. Like
Oh, because the
this one was pretty
retirement, yeah,
sudden. It was like,
yeah,
oh, you're in town. What are you doing? Well, I'm fucking watching wrestle, and I'm like, oh, right, wrestling. I haven't thought
yeah,
about wrestling in 6 years.
fair.
Okay, what's up? I think that's how it happened, but I my memory could be skewed. Um, so although it
But either way, you weren't
has
watching regularly.
although it has lost some of its luster with time because people say that it's boring. Number 14 on the countdown, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, Iron Man match,
That is surprisingly low.
WrestleMania 12. Is my favorite is my favorite WWE moment of the boyhood dream because like I've talked about why I love wrestling. And at the time when I was watching that, I didn't know why I didn't have the emotional intelligence to be able to acknowledge the things that were really bringing me in. And it is those emotional empathy moments. And the very first one of those that I can ever remember is the boyhood dream moment. And I loved Bret Hart and I loved Shawn Michaels, and they fought for an hour. Um, like I think it was there was a moment when it had first happened and Shawn was still in the waning days of his career where it was everyone's stock answer for like best match of all time, almost as if people were being told to say it.
Yeah,
Um, uh, uh, and then I feel like in the last 10, it's it's diminished in value a little bit because it is a lot of rest holds in the first half. And now the Iron Man match is no the televised Iron Man match used to be a gigantic thing, obviously in the territory days, but the televised Iron Man match has become more and more. We've seen more and more options of a televised Iron Man match. Um, and so I just think that the opinion on it has lessened a little, but for me, it is still the bedrock of why I am a wrestling fan.
That is entirely fair. Yeah, the Stone Cold turning on everybody, shaking hands with Satan himself and all of that stuff. That moment was a big twist for me that I didn't see coming. I was still relatively early in my wrestling career, so seeing a top baby face do that. And I liked Stone Cold and The Rock both. Obviously, I was more of a Rock person, but I still love me some Stone Cold. Who doesn't? But that moment was just like wrestling was still real for me. Like I had heard the
Yeah,
fake stuff,
that's the
but
moment when wrestling broke your heart.
yeah, it was great though. And that whole pay-per-view, I was like, it was very much a target demographic pay-per-view with Limp Bizkit and shit playing. Yeah. Like, it's a product of its time like a motherfucker. But that X7, that whole pay-per-view is probably my favorite because of nostalgia. I will say largely because of nostalgia, it is my favorite pay-per-view. Now, if we talk about objective quality, that once I learned to actually appreciate wrestling, I don't know what to tell you. There's so many fucking good ones out there, but
Hmm.
because of the nostalgia factor, X7.
Quick scan of the rest of this list. Anything that jumps out at you? Anything
Uh,
too high? Anything too low? Anything that you wanna point out
I
in
think the Iron
specific?
Man's too low, as you stated. I was surprised that it wasn't Ultimate Warrior Savage we watched. No, it was something else. Ultimate Warrior Hogan, I think, that
Yeah,
we
we watched
watched.
Warrior Hogan. I think Warrior Savage, although Savage is a much better worker than Hogan, the Hogan Warrior has a lot more aura.
Uh-huh.
And this is Randy Savage has so many better matches than with the Ultimate Warrior, so it just feels weird for that to be at number nine.
Yeah.
Um,
I, I thought it was crazy that End of an Era is as low as 18.
End of an era feels crazy high, man. The day before number 18 dropped on YouTube, a YouTube creator that I will watch occasionally did a list of him and his buddy breaking down their top 10 of all time. And they had End of an Era at number one with a bullet. It
It
was
was
the
so good.
Yeah, they made a very strong and compelling argument for it, and they both even said that Shawn Michaels Undertaker 1 in a capsule is probably the better match.
But this is
But
part four finale of that story.
this is the end of a drama series. This is
I've seen Taker and Shawn with the same kind of interpretation of End of an Era, or that whole thing where it's a four-part story.
hmm
That from Taker Shawn 1 till End of an Era, that's all a four-part story. Yeah, Hunter comes in, but he literally challenges Taker the year before that because he eliminated Shawn, and he's trying to get revenge for Shawn slash outdo Shawn. And then
hmm
then the year after, he's like, I want my rematch, damn it. And Shawn's like, fuck you, no, I'm being a referee. Wait, what? Oh, shit.
Roman Cody 2 at WrestleMania 40 at number 6. Way
That's
too strong recency bias.
very much so. I was gonna say strong recency bias for number 20, Rock and
Oh,
Roman versus Cody.
without question. Without question, my man.
Triple H 21 though. Ronda and Angle versus Tripp and Steph, I don't think needed to be 21 either,
Did
especially
it even need to
over
be
Kurt
on the
Angle and
list?
no. I don't think so. Kurt, especially over Kurt versus Sean. Do you see the
That
names in that
is
match?
that is such an incredible match.
Kurt and
I know
Sean.
you haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet,
Yeah.
because we almost covered that tonight. Um, but man, yeah, that is a great match. No offense to anyone what I'm about ready to say because it is a incredible moment. Wonderful, lovely, amazing moment for all parties involved. But I don't think Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens needs to be on this list.
Okay, you too. I agree.
Okay.
Especially
It's a
not that
lovely
high.
moment, but if it's on this list, it's in the 40s,
Hmm.
50s, in my
Yeah.
opinion, not 24.
There's a match with the Usos versus Owens and Zayn at 30. Given some of the matches above it, that needs to be higher. Uh, yeah. I do like that Gunther McIntyre Sheamus made the list. That triple threat. I think in the 30s is fine.
Randy Orton only appearing on the list one time.
That's crazy.
A triple threat match between him, Daniel Bryan, and Batista. Great
Yeah.
match, very fun match.
Yeselmania. Yeah. Speaking of icon versus icon, you talk about people loving that. Freaking Cena Rock all the way down at 48. Crazy. Now, I don't know much about Hulk Hogan versus Rock. I've seen highlights over the years, but I feel like Cena and Rock could put on a better match than Hogan and Rock.
I mean, if I had my way, this would be like 25 matches that all say the name either Shawn Michaels or Kurt Angle.
That's entirely fair.
Um, uh, yeah, like I, I'm I'm glad there's no whitewashing entirely of anybody's history or anything like that. There's still some acknowledgement. And I understand there isn't the clout of the main event, but not to get too much into what we're about ready to talk about, but 31 for Charlotte versus Becky versus
Yeah,
and then 10
for
for
the
Becky
other.
with Ronda. I feel like there's a little too much disparity there.
I'm not gonna lie, got ready to watch because I was looking at the list and when I saw that match was on there, I'm like, that we could talk about it. But then I saw like, wait, Becky, Charlotte, so and so, that's all the way at 31. But I'm like, we probably already started watching at this point.
I've seen
Too.
that one also.
Oh, okay. So I was just like, we'll just watch this other one. But yeah, we'll
I'm
get
well
into
versed
it.
in the horseman in the full horseman narrative, kind of, except for the match we watched tonight, because it's my two least favorite horsewomen.
Oh, really?
I mean, I guess when it comes down to it, if they're WW in the golden era of the horsewomen, I would say. Like Charlotte versus Rhea is really cool. Um, I love the aura of Becky Lynch, but then the bell rings, and I think she's fourth place in the group as far as just, I mean, it's not like she's a scrub, but
Well, none of them are. They're the four horsewomen.
right,
But
but she's
if you
number
need a
four
fourth place, you need a fourth place, and that's
in ring.
entirely
But
fair.
if you're gonna do aura and not manufactured aura like a Charlotte Flair or something, then it's Becky number one, and then like almost a mile before you get to Charlotte, Sasha, depending on the section of their career, maybe. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I skipped that one honestly because I've never had a lot of confidence in the Ronda Rousey situation.
Fair
This
enough.
I watched the tag with Angle, but I don't remember much of it. And I
Hmm.
think that may be the only Ronda that I've ever watched in a WWE format.
Yeah. That's entirely fair. Yeah, I don't think the
So
Ronda
I think
angle
I think
that
that's
needed.
I
I don't
mean,
think that needed to be on this list.
if we want to just
Yeah,
use that to go straight into this,
we can.
um, I think that's why I had never seen this one.
Yeah.
Like I
So
said, because I
I have
am
to.
pretty well versed in the Four Horsemen Louvre.
Yeah. So we don't often talk about women's matches in these match exchanges. Uh, I think we have done some, but we don't often do it. And I figured why not show some love to the women, especially because this match came in ranked at number 10,
Number 10.
the first ever women's main event for WrestleMania, not co-main event, main event. There was still one night when this happened.
Were
They
you
were the
watching live, Omari?
I was. I
So
was.
I feel like because obviously this was when I was not an active
Hmm.
fan. Um,
Yeah, this
from
is
what
like
I
2018,
understand,
2019 range.
from what I understand is this goes kind of classically bad as far as a scheduling situation goes, and the reason why we have two nights was
Yes,
like
I do
this year.
believe this is one of those years where it's just like so long.
Like there was something about like the local metro system had like been
Shut
closed for
down
like
or
a full
something like
hour
that.
before the
Oh my
stadium even opened up,
goodness.
and
Yeah.
it was just like a lot of people abandoned. Like so I Yeah, I feel like that's the story attached to I didn't obviously WWE isn't going to promote that a lot. But I feel like it was something close to like midnight or something when this
Yeah,
match
no,
either
it
started
was
or
probably it did like real fucking late because it was like, what the hell? They need to try to change this. So it was either 2019, I feel like it was 2019, but it's either 2018 or 2019 around that year that this WrestleMania happened, and it was Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. Did you watch the little vignette before it to get the little story catch up?
no, I didn't go
Okay.
through Peacock this time.
So,
I just used the top
okay.
50 list
Yeah.
videos.
So I'm glad I did go through Peacock for it because I wanted to use the top 50 list, but then I'm like, but I kind of want to keep with what I've been doing on the other episodes we've been doing this
I should have done
where
that.
I see the story.
I should have done
Um,
that.
I
Just
remember now being at least somewhat hyped for this match. It wasn't the match I was most hyped for. That was two matches before this. That was Triple H Batista's retirement match, which I think also didn't help these ladies when it came to the crowd by the end of it because
hmm
they're just like exhausted.
I have, although I didn't watch it tonight, I have just through my becoming a wrestling fan again and watching interviews and doing all that kind of shit, I have seen things about the build. Like how it was initially supposed to be a Becky Ronda situation and
Hmm.
a power that be that likes to dip his finger in and manipulate things through a wrench in the scenario.
Yeah.
But then that actually ended up improving the build and probably what
Dude,
gave them the main event. There was a police
part
car
I'm about to say part of what
backstage
made me so happy
situation.
and hype about it is that all three of these women were pissed the fuck off.
How
Like,
far away are we from Becky Bloody Nose?
um, this was the year it happened.
Okay, this is like within the comeback
Yes,
of that.
the Becky Bloody Nose started this path to here. Like
Okay.
this is the dawn. This is early man Becky Lynch. Like she
So
got the bloody nose
that was in the build to Survivor series, so that would have been like
November.
October, November of
Hmm.
okay.
Yes, to my knowledge, I believe this was exactly around then. And so now we have angry lady Becky going around. She's bloody nose Becky. You know, everybody loves them Becky the man. Ronda Rousey up until this match was pretty much female Brock Lesnar, as in I want actual UFC gold.
Yeah, I mean
Are
she's an
any of you
incredibly
reasonably
credible.
going to beat me? And so she hadn't been pinned by anybody. I believe she had lost the title due to injury, came back and won it again, and kept winning. So she had yet to lose by pin whatsoever. So, and she angry with her little mini face sometimes that she makes. Like Ronda, legit person. There, and she in her like default face or when she's talking and animated can be very intimidating. But I feel like she has a time where she isn't saying anything and she feels like she has to try to look bad, where it
She's a
just
terrible
looks like she's
actress.
putting on a meanie face.
She's a terrible actress. That's a problem. That's the issue. I mean she is the most credible women's wrestler that's ever existed, and she somehow has zero aura, to me at least, in rewatch. And I think it's because she's just not a good actress. She looks like she's pretending with everything. She feels like she's pretending to do a
Like I
when
like
she's
I'm
holding up the
fine with the
belt.
blah blah blah, but like I said, there's just times where she's just like,
Her walk feels like she's like in her head being like, this is how a wrestler walks down an
yeah,
entrance ramp. Like I don't know. And not to be too negative towards her.
yeah, no, but
But
I get you. That's the only thing. Like I said, it's an appearance thing.
in ring it's decent. It's just it's the vibe weirdly isn't there for somebody who should have instantaneous built-in vibe because
Yeah,
you were an undefeated women's UFC champion for a while. There was like 2 years there where you were popular than most men fighters.
yeah. So we get it, and the helicopter show. But yeah, the fight, the fact that Charlotte entered herself in here, and the fact that their fights got so angry between the three of them that they all got put arrested and then fought in the police car and broke the window to keep fighting. That was some hype shit leading into the WrestleMania. It's like, you know what? If this is gonna be the first women's main event at WrestleMania, at least it looks like we gonna have ourselves a fucking fight amongst them. And that brings us to the night itself. Charlotte comes in a fucking helicopter. Uh,
Rhonda has Joan Jett playing
Joan
for her.
Jett,
That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
legit Joan Jett's here. And if I'm gonna talk about Ronda's faces, I'm gonna talk about Charlotte's too. That wink she tried to do when she put her robe on, you're not a good winker, Charlotte. Anyway, um,
You're not a good facer.
then we get Joan Jett, Charlotte comes out with her fireworks, and then Becky comes out with her steam plan, and everybody losing their shit with their man signs. Um, and fight starts, standoff, and immediately to the outside. They're just beating the shit out of each person. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I do remember these women didn't like each other. But
Becky's got a good song, by the way.
the
It is it was a note like well and just like I tried to for the first time I think I listened to everything behind the whoa, whoa, whoa and just the drums and when the where the guitar kicks in is just it's just a good makes you wonder if you'd want to throw it on like a top 10. I don't know. I don't know if it's there. But it makes you curious if it deserves it, is all I'm saying.
Yes, I agree. I'm not sure if Zoom muted any of that or if you heard me, but
Yeah, a little bit.
I was doing the guitar and stuff, the
I think we got
instrumental
it.
because I like it. I was agreeing with you. I did of the three, I liked her theme the most. Don't get me wrong, Bad Reputation, fantastic song. Joan Jett, fantastic person.
I
But
feel like using a real song cheats.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like
Like
using a real song
that's
cheats.
an established thing.
Like if somebody in the future were to make a top 10 list and
And
put
name CM Punk.
and put Where Is My Mind for Orange Cassidy. Like, well,
Ah,
obviously that's a great song. It's a real song. Um, I mean, you can say that about a lot of I don't know. In Living Color is I feel like
the
it's
shit was in Guitar Hero before it was CM Punk's theme song.
yeah, that's that there you go. I was gonna say I wonder if it's more popular as CM Punk's song. Um but yeah, I think that would cement the vote that CM Punk's song wouldn't count either. Uh I feel like it's you gotta You got to hear that song and think, and it's attached to a wrestler,
Okay. The attached to a wrestler, because,
but
well,
like
we could get into.
ubiquitously.
Because I'm about to say, are we talking about using real bands? Not a real thing. It's just if it's the song is not associated with that wrestler.
My preference would be that the song was made for the wrestler, whether it's a real band doing it or not.
Fair. I like that. Not that I was going to pick any of those, but, and or that anybody at home knows what we're talking about. But
Right.
we're,
I'm just saying hypothetically,
no,
if you were
hypothetically.
to, if you were
Hypothetically.
to,
Yeah.
would there be rules
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah. Just an idea. But the bottom line is we get the match going. Love the. I actually like a lot of the hard hitting things, like early on. Like I said, them fighting. I like the Becky. Charlotte does her like heel shit, gets in the ring after the little outside skirmish. Becky comes in and fights, and Ronda does this weird thing where she like runs up Charlotte to kick Becky in the face. And I'm like, okay, that's not a spot you often see. Like, let me run up you to kick this
Yeah,
other
that's cool.
person.
She also like other than Brian, I feel like she does the run up your body to knee you in the face.
Quite consistently. She did it a few
Yeah,
times in
pretty
this
well.
match.
Pretty
Yeah,
well. Like obviously that feels like a Brian Danielson move. Um but there's several people who do it. Hers felt, and maybe it's that real combat sports background. Hers
yeah,
felt
pretty legit.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. I like them trying to double power bomber to the outside, but she puts him into submission, only to have Becky get that baseball slide for that bump that Ronda took from hanging upside down to the outside of the ring, which Ronda wrestled as the top champion for like a fucking year. She's a fucking wrestler. I'm gonna be like, well, shout out to celebrity wrestler, but no, she's a fucking wrestler. But you know what I
No,
mean?
yeah, she is
She is
good in the
legit
ring. Like she's got really solid form, obviously, because she's so knowledgeable about the base structures of
of
what
combat.
wrestling is. Yeah. That she has really good form. She makes things like when she jumps over the ropes to break up something, and it's almost in like a flying sidekick form. Like, and it
Hmm.
looks like if you were to still image it, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's got great moves, and she takes some fucking hard ass bumps in this match.
that's what I'm saying. Like she takes some bumps.
Yeah.
Uh, and I do enjoy like what she was doing. So, kudos to her on that. I do like some of the spots, like, obviously a lot of the top rope shit, super exploder, Spanish fly by Charlotte, great moments. And speaking of them taking the bumps, you can even see like the bruises and shit. Like Ronda's leg gets all bruised up. Fucking Charlotte starts bleeding from her fucking elbow. Like, I'm not sure if Becky, ironically, Becky, who started this meteoric rise with a bloody nose, I think is the least bloody out of the three in the match. I feel like the feeling going in is that Becky was there to get pinned. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like there was a hope that she would win, but people were really, and this was before the tribal chief, and they really started to lose faith. But we had been through the Brock Lesnar period, and it was like, so Ronda's just gonna beat them both, or is Charlotte gonna, oh, the queen, now I've won twice. Ah. It's
Mm.
like, so very pessimistically expecting Becky to lose. I know I was, but obviously the match continues. We get other cool spots like the figure eight into the leg drop. I thought that was cool.
Hmm.
Um, I always think it's funny with how dead this crowd was. The little things that did like get them to start making noise, including I will say it once and I will say it every time, the most over thing in wrestling. The tables. I'm sorry. Hey, we can't all like the most over thing in wrestling. There are a lot of people that were not fans of John Cena or
I
Cody Rhodes. You
I'm
know,
reminded it every day in my wrestling text thread that I have a different opinion than other people.
I didn't say it was my favorite thing in wrestling. I said
I
it's the
know.
most over thing. Um, That, but although I do like them, I'm not gonna lie, I like tables. But favorite thing, nah, I think I like
You
ladder
can
spots
cheer
and
for
more.
tables, but are you going to chant tables?
No, I'm not a we want tables guy.
I feel like you're a we want tables guy. I feel like you're lying to me.
I'm not okay. I'll put it this way: I'm not gonna start a we want tables chant. It's one of those things where it's like also it's a time and a place type deal. I feel like tables are what they are. I feel like tables are the most overthink in wrestling, but they are also overused, which, runs the chance of them not being as over as they should be because people just like, ugh. Either way, and this table didn't help things much because it was one of those tables that wasn't going to cooperate.
It was a difficult table. It was being a difficult table, but you also got a bunch of light ass ladies
Yeah, then we got
who
that last,
classically have a difficult time breaking tables.
but they didn't really get a good job breaking the table with Charlotte. And they changed.
Yeah, I guess Charlotte's not necessarily light, but she's still
Yeah,
not
yeah.
not the size of some of the men on the roster who are regularly going
Yeah,
through
but it's
tables.
also like the angle they landed on the table and just there were some things that for this to be the monumental match and moment in history that it is, there were some things that felt like it was playing against them
Oh, well,
in it,
yeah, for sure, 100%.
including the finish, which
Yeah, I
they
mean, we got
changed
to
the
get to
angle
it.
for replays. They changed the angle for it for replays, but the angle that caused that commentary afterwards, where Becky rolls over Ronda.
That angle is in the YouTube video, the YouTube version.
Oh, okay, where you can kind of clearly see
You
her
can
right
very
shoulder.
obviously see.
Yeah, on Peacock, it's from the other side, and you see the one shoulder down.
I want to know, did Corey Graves get in trouble?
That's what everybody thought because I think
Because
Corey.
the other two are very clearly getting yelled into their ear. Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Becky won!
I'd like to
Becky won!
see
Shut
the
up!
other angle of that. I'm
I'd
pretty
hate for
sure.
WrestleMania to end like this. Like Corey's trying to tell them, like, people aren't gonna like this if you just stop it right here. There's a
Yeah,
clear issue that we need to address.
yeah.
No, push forward.
Well, like it or not, Becky Two Belts is the champion, and we got us a WrestleMania winner. If you say so, but I'm pretty sure. Shut up, Corey.
Okay, so the question is,
But there was a question for a while. I remember talking with Jazz and Ibn about like, or maybe not Ibn because reasons, but at the very least, talking with Jazz and my roommate and everybody at the time, like, was that how it was supposed to end? Were they supposed to do it? But the story went nowhere. It's just like, no, I guess that was just an accidental fuck finish, or
no, yeah, it was everything from like Becky's book to interviews with Rhonda and everything say that that was not what was supposed to happen. Rhonda said that like I think Rhonda's reasoning was that she thought that she wasn't that Becky never fully got her down, and so that was her trying to shift her body so that her shoulders could get to the mat was her
oh,
argument. Um uh but I would make the argument that your attitude immediately following the 3 count tells me that you did that shit on purpose. Tells me that you did that on purpose and you wanted to look you did. I mean,
yeah.
it's a
That's the
wrestling
other
move.
thing. Like her attitude on which I also think Corey in the moment is also like, should I be like rooting for? Because he's been rooting for like the heel and stuff the whole time anyway with Ronda not wanting Becky to win. So he's like, no, we need to actually have a definitive thing because I'm the heel commentator. I need to be rooting anyway, and it clearly doesn't look like she had her shoulder down. Uh, so
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know how much trouble he got into, but he probably got into a lot because yeah, the other two are just like, and regardless, Becky wins.
yeah, I think Becky pretty much implies that it was Ronda trying to go into business a little bit and set up a rematch kind of thing.
Hmm.
Uh, and
The
that's not
world
how
may
things,
never
yeah.
know. But yeah, that was the first ever women's match. I'm not sure if there's other things you want to talk about in it.
So yeah,
But
other than like the aura of the main event and whatever, I guess, and you can say like I can fully acknowledge the celebrity status or like bringing in a different demographic to the product in a Ronda Rousey. Obviously, I'm no market analyst. I don't have those numbers to say that that actually happened. Like some like that's because that's what people always say about Logan Paul, and I'm like, I would really like to if that's a quantifiable number, I would really be curious to know how many motherfuckers are tuning into WrestleMania because they watch Logan Paul's TikToks. Like, I don't know. I don't know, but maybe. He's a very followed individual, whether I like it or
he's
not.
followed enough to run crypto scams.
Right. Um, so I don't know if that's the case. But I can still acknowledge the outside of the wrestling sphere celebrity status of a Ronda Rousey and just that, even beyond celebrity athlete, legendary athlete kind of situation. But other than that, it's basically the exact match scenario as the triple threat with Sasha, and that match is so much better, in my opinion. But maybe that's just me
Well, yeah,
remembering that match fondly because I was in my 3 day binge fest of everything four
yeah.
horsewomen kind of thing.
Which is kind of why, like, as I got into getting ready to watch and I saw that later down the list was that, I'm like, ah, shit, if I would have scrolled lower, I would have seen this, would have suggested it. But you, like you said, you'd already seen it. But yeah, I thought a lot of the wrestling they did during the match, fantastic. A lot of the storytelling they were trying to tell, I think worked. It's just between a dead fucking crowd who had been there for like 7 hours, the your big table spot only breaking like a fifth of the table, and then the pin right afterwards, and confusion, so people weren't sure if they should pop. It's
Yeah.
like it was dragged down for that and is remembered less fondly than it should be. And I think some people were like, but if you look at the content of what they were saying, maybe that's why they put it at 10. I still don't think it needs to be this high, but I didn't make the damn list.
I
Uh,
like I like the Becky wins two
mm-hmm.
belts better than the Charlotte converting the Divas title into the WWE title for the first time. Um, in the previous scenario, but I like and maybe it's me implying chemistry, but I like the chemistry of the first triple of the first set more. And then the finish of this one
Yeah,
just kind of like if this would have been that exact same finish but a full pin and that table breaks, I feel like this match is completely different.
I agree.
Um,
Like it literally just had those
yeah.
things. It had enough to chip away to where that's all you remember it because it also where it happened in the match. But yeah, I still think the ladies put on a great show. Like I said, that it had its unfortunate finish. Doesn't need to be 10, but still a good match,
All right, Omari, we are going to go back just one spot to
right?
number 11 in the countdown. It is WrestleMania 10, a place we have already been to
Yes.
once on this show to watch number 12 on this list. Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels for the first ever Intercontinental title ladder match.
Which probably
Um,
should not be as low as number 12, given what we said about number 10. But anyway,
12 feels about appropriate for that. If I just
given what's above it, that's all I'm saying.
yeah. I feel like 12 is fine there, but maybe there's more that should be jumping it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like the Iron Man match. Maybe the Iron Man match should be 10 instead of this triple threat with Ronda and Charlotte,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know?
fine with that as well.
I'm perfectly fine with Hogan Andre. That, that's aura. That's the company was built on the story of that match
Exactly.
alone kind of stuff. Um, number 7, the TLC match at 17 is rewrote wrestling forever. Um, so
Yeah.
we already discussed number 6 shouldn't be on here. I feel like anything that happened in the last year or even maybe 2 years shouldn't be considered right now. You can be on the next 50 list that we do in 8 years when it's the 50th anniversary or something. Um,
I think that's just agenda pushing right there. Them putting Roman and Cody at 6.
we talked about how ridiculously low or high, whatever, however you call it, the end of an era match that could easily
Yeah.
slot up there, and I would flip spots with Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior for that
Hmm.
one. But maybe it gets to a point where Hunter and Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, who kind of have strings pulling abilities, didn't want to overload and make it look like it was them just
Maybe.
patting themselves on the back. Who knows? Anyway, number 11, WrestleMania 10. Really interesting match here. Um, it is the very first brother versus brother, and what would become a WrestleMania semi-tradition. We're now at 3 of them, and I'm sure we'll get a couple more as soon as we can. As soon as they have a scenario where they got two brothers. At some point in their career, they're going to get a WrestleMania match now because one time Brett and Owen did it and it was incredible. But it was Brett and Owen. We are going to watch Bret Hart versus Owen Hart to open WrestleMania 10. He had this match because Owen Hart was just being a little fucking shit. And sometimes big brother's got to just slap little brother around for a minute and teach him a lesson, even though he has a world heavyweight title match later on in the night, um, that he will go on to win. So really interesting WrestleMania for Bret Hart, where he gets to open the show,
And
uh,
close the show.
and close the show, and especially considering the finishes of the matches. So Omari, I guess WrestleMania 10. We last time we checked in on this, you jumped straight to the ladder match. Didn't consume the Hart versus Hart match.
I did not. I did not. So Owen Hart, I want to say my first Raw or one of my first Raws was after the incident.
Ooh,
Yes. Uh, so I kind of missed the entire Owen Hart era, but I at least
mm,
saw him mentioned in video games. That kind of deal.
yeah.
So it was interesting, actually being able to watch one of his big matches and seeing what that was going to be like. Obviously, I watched the story to see, like you said, he was being a little shit and all that. And Luigi's mad at Mario, and now Luigi's going to do something about it. Um, I had always heard about his potential because, being a heart in general, Stu Hart's Dungeon, Heart Foundation, you hear the legacy of the Hearts. So I knew he
Hmm.
wasn't bad in the ring. But
No,
everybody talks about Brett.
right.
Brett's the
Uh,
hitman.
right. Brett had, I believe Brett would have been quoted on multiple occasions in the belief that the more talented individual was Owen Hart. It's
Hmm.
just that he was never serious about it. And that matches the personality that people talk about of Owen Hart, just being a very fun, goofy kind of prankster individual, very lighthearted individual backstage. Um, but I believe I've heard Brett on several occasions say that if Owen Hart cared to be the best wrestler on the planet, he could have been in an instant.
Yeah, I believe I've heard similar similar statements from Brett in the past as well. Um, that said, got into the match. I did because it was the opener. I decided to watch the opening of that WrestleMania, Random Little Richard
Okay.
and his I was first gonna complain because the America the Beautiful instead of the national anthem. WrestleMania does America the Beautiful. And at first I was gonna be like Little Richard. I have not heard much Little Richard aside from the obvious ones. But he came out and he was just like, oh, beautiful. You probably can't really hear me because Zoom probably muted me. But
We
you
got a
could
little bit of
barely
it.
hear him. And his like those were higher than his actual singing. And I was like, what the hell's going on? But then he goes into like a second and third verse where he's repeating it, where he's like louder and singing. He cracked me up because he started changing the words a bit. It was like America, America, God done shed his grace on me.
Where are my background singers?
Yeah, he had background. He had a choir. And it's like, and crowned that good, just like he said he would from sea to side and sea. And it's not like he just changed one of the from Brotherhoods. It was every time. That was his version of the chorus. God done shed his grace on me and crowned that good just like he said he would. And I was just like, all right. But anyway, yeah, we get to the match. But I love that Owen came out with the Brett glasses on. Like the prop Brett glasses that he would
Mm-hmm.
give to fans and tore them shits up. Brett pre-sound effect, the iconic Bret Hart. Ooh, fucking sound effect, not a present. I didn't realize his music had started. The crowd just started popping, and I'm like, oh, I was expecting the Brett sound.
Yeah, the guitar shriek. We don't have that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he still comes out. I was excited because instant nostalgia, Earl Hebner in the ring. Gotta have
You
Earl.
got you have your yeah, we didn't talk about it much. It was Beth Phoenix in the previous. Was that Stephanie or was
Renee,
that Beth Phoenix?
Renee Paquette,
Oh, that was the
or
Renee
Renee
Paquette.
Young. Yeah, Renee Young during her brief stint as a commentator.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
She felt a little out of place sometimes. Like, I mean, three man groups are three person groups are hard
Yes.
already, but there would be times when she would jump in there with a line, and whether the line is good or bad, the moment that she jumps in, I feel like she's like, "Hey, hey, I'm here."
Yeah.
Like I would forget that she was there almost.
Hmm.
Um, so commentary here we have Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler. Vince McMahon, one of the that's the worst part of showing you so many matches from my strongest era of wrestling fandom is so many of them have been Vince McMahon on commentary.
Yeah. I'm good.
Did a bird just fly in your window and hit you in the head?
I heard a buzzing in my ear, which I thought was like some kind of bug or something. I got stung by a
I
bee
hear that. I
once.
hear that's happened to like football commentators before.
Oh, fair.
Like a bird flies in the window and hits you in the head.
Oh yeah, a bird just flew in here.
Um,
Charbroil.
yeah, anyway, Vince McMahon has been commentator on a few of our matches, particularly I think the Razor Shawn Michaels ladder match. Um, but it's not good. He's not a good commentator. It's a lot of like, look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at what's happening. And person applying pressure.
I want you to know a specific thing about the match I just booked. Let me tell you.
And then yeah, you have Jerry Lawler, which is I would say the best version of Jerry Lawler because we're not in full puppy
Horny
mode.
mode. Yeah.
Um, but and there's in small doses his original heel commentator is a really fun character. Just how anti the babyface he would be in matches. And just so aggressive, like even farther than like Heenan would go. With just how much he was backing Owen Hart in this match is fun. But then it's still I just don't in the age of so many good commentators of just like a baseline kind of basic voice of a certain resonance and tone. Um, his register is hard for a 30-minute match.
That that's fair.
Maybe that's just me being an old man. I don't know.
As a youth, I and as a foil to JR, I will always have some nostalgia for the King because of that era, like my era watching and getting into it. But can I objectively say there are better commentators, especially if you don't have them in a specific pairing? Yes. Um, do I think that King and JR need to go number one on your like all time like trying to draft something? Uh, or whatever it was that Super Jazz did? I don't think so. But man, if we ever did that hypothetical list, I can't wait to see what his choices would be. Anyway, the bottom
Samantha
line.
Irvin's going to be number 10. Some call her the MVP of WrestleMania 40. So anyway, we got this heart versus heart match. They're having a really
Man,
solid back and
tangents.
forth. Um, it's the it is a sometimes tactical, sometimes aggressive, brawling fight, but it's just kind of a lot of back and forth.
Hmm.
I have upper hand, you have upper hand. I would say until the knee on the post, like what, maybe 2/3 of the way through the match.
Yeah,
And then Owen gets a good amount of time on top.
yeah, there was a good chunk of the match where I was just like, "Oh shit, I forgot to take notes." But Tombstone, shit, he just pulled out a
Oh
tombstone.
yeah, that's pretty deep. Yeah, that's a crazy one is like
Yeah.
we're at WrestleMania 10 and we have a tombstone for a near fall. Take that, all of you 2025 YouTube talking head people talking about talking about false finishes. Maybe I'm one of them. I don't know. Bret Hart, the person you say greatest of all time, used the tombstone pile driver as a false finish.
Yeah. But yeah, we had the sharpshooter exchange early on with them trying to sharpshooter one another, which I thought was cool. Which, by the way, we keep managing to somehow accidentally find parallels in our matches when we suggest these things. Because, this one we had the match opener versus match ending, and also submission specialist versus like a lot of emphasis on this making the other person tap being the main focus of the match. All three of
Yeah,
the women in the previous match submission finisher ladies, and it ended in a pin after everybody trying to submission one another. This match, these two were trying to submission each other the whole time, only for it to end in a pin.
in a
So it's
technical
just
roll up. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, both
both of
of
them
them
are kind of technical
anticlimactic
roll
roll up,
ups.
like counter into roll up to win the title when you weren't expected to, or not the title, but to win the match when you weren't expected to.
Yeah,
But yeah, I liked them throughout the match. The storytelling they had in this match was pretty good. But I mainly focused on a lot of things because I'm like, okay, we have like some classic spots, like the classic figure four, where I got you in the figure four. I fucking hurts you, bastard. But if I roll over, it hurts you instead, bitch.
yes. Because you see, Omari, the
It
pressure
reverses
is
the
now
pressure.
reversed,
It reverses the
even though
pressure.
nothing's changed.
I
But
believed that shit so hard when I was
gravity.
younger. When I was younger, I believed that shit so hard that you could
Oh, he
reverse the
reversed it.
pressure of it. Yeah, he
Yeah.
reverses the pressure of the pain. I'm not sure how it works, but they said it's how it works. So, that's how it works. Um, I also was like, nobody bulldogs anymore. When's the last time you seen somebody hit a bulldog?
I feel like the women's division uses a bulldog a lot still.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
So I feel like
um,
I don't see him a
Maybe
lot
that's because
nowadays.
everybody likes Trish. Because
Mm,
Trish was a bulldogger.
yeah, true. But yeah, it's still not as often seen as it was back
No,
in the
yeah,
day.
it's pretty rare.
Hmm. But yeah, like you said, Owen starts to get the upper hand. It comes a point where he actually puts Brett in the sharpshooter, and I'm like, did Brett not just tap? Because Brett's like, ow, ow. And then he literally, I guess he's trying to get the crowd to like start clapping for him, but he literally is like, and I'm like, he just tapped. And then the match keeps going, and the ref doesn't even act like he acknowledges it. I'm like,
That happens a few times where it's just like okay, I guess if you do it rhythmically, it's the ref
yeah,
knows that you're trying to inspire the crowd.
I'm like, dude, you clearly tapped to the sharpshooter. That's what everybody else would be counting as you winning. But the match continues, and then we get that like attempt from Brett to do the move that gets reversed. And I was surprised to see Owen win. Um, and then Owen had his little promo afterwards, and I'm like, yeah, I can see why people talk about the potential of what could have been,
Yeah,
without
that
Brett.
leads into I mean Brett ends up winning later on in the night, becoming a WWF champion. And then that leads into his first program as champion is against his brother who gets to use in his promos in
I
the
beat
build up.
Brett.
Yeah, I literally pinned you. That belt should be mine. Literally pinned you the same day. So so it's on. Uh, yeah, and then they have another match at SummerSlam.
And Brett doing so good at selling, and it makes so much sense for him to sell the leg of that whole match, knowing he had to fight a big ass motherfucker like Yokozuna later. So you just have built-in story element of I can't lift this motherfucker, amplified now because I got a bum leg. So yeah, back when they cared about storytelling. To be the whole old head talking on YouTube. Back when they cared about storytelling.
And they sold.
And they
They
sold.
sold.
Wasn't about the big spots. You had to let them
A dude
breathe.
a dude will work a leg and a guy will sell it for 30 seconds. And before you know it, he's doing a full dead sprint around the ring, jumping up from the top turnbuckle. You got to limp. You got to limp for a week. And you got to get in fights in bars to protect the business, damn it.
Oh,
Obviously, I'm joking. I'm playing a character. That's
yes.
not what I want from my
Same.
wrestling. But I do
Same.
want people to slow down. I do want people to slow down and let the moment breathe a little bit. The you could say at its core that a lot of this match is a counter
Hmm.
style match.
Same fucking
And
moveset versus same fucking moveset.
and
That's what I thought it was early on.
you could say that a lot of people call what somebody very divisive right now in wrestling, like a Will Ospreay, tends to do a counter match. So why is one so beloved and one is very divisive, very beloved, but also very criticized? And I think it could be the separation is that moment of breathing, is allowing it to breathe, is him working that leg and then Brett limping for literally the rest of that match. I think showing like Bret Hart is somebody who was incredible at showing exhaustion. The match could be 2 minutes in, he'll come up and it feels like he's been in a fight.
Yeah,
And it feels believable, even though you know that the match just started and he hasn't done anything else tonight.
but he is exhausted like a motherfucker. This is the hardest fight he's been in the last 10 minutes.
Um, so yeah, I do enjoy that side of it. Other than that, I don't know if it's 11. It's a really solid match. It's really great that they're honoring Owen. And obviously Brett, even though he's multi-time honored on this list,
Probably the best
obviously.
brother versus brother match. What is the
Uh,
third one?
the second one is the Hardys, and then the third one is last year with the Usos.
Okay, Hardys did fight each other at a Mania.
Yep.
Okay, I knew about the Usos. Hardys was the only other name that came to mind, but unless we wanted to go kayfabe brothers with fucking the obvious Kane and Taker, but real brothers, yeah,
I think that probably
Hardys.
happened on WrestleMania, but yeah, that's kayfabe brothers. And then
Yeah,
you got the
real brothers
Dudleys. I don't know
definitely
if they would have
Hardys.
ever fought.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Yeah, so that's the match. That's the match. What'd you think of it?
I think I liked it more. Well, overall, I think it was a better quality, especially because it probably ended the way it was supposed to and more smoothly, and the crowd was more into it. I liked it more than the women's match. I can acknowledge that to some degree, like a lot of the tech. I've already said numerous times about the storytelling and technical aspects of the women's match that made it, as remembered as favorably as it is.
Right.
But I think everything going right and the way it was supposed to kind of elevates the men's match over it for me. Do I think they need to be 10 and 11 on this list? No. But because they're 10 and 11, I say switch them. But
For me, yeah, even though this sits right in my personal taste zone,
Mhm.
um I a non-title I feel like is tough to be in this section, even though the number one and the number two and one match of all time, honestly, as I'm saying that, I'm realizing are both non-title matches. Number number three also. Three, three, two, and one are all non-title matches, which is pretty crazy. Um, yeah, The Rock Hogan shouldn't be the third greatest match of all time.
I really shouldn't. I have
Like it
not
should
heard
be on this
anybody.
list,
I have not
but
heard
like
anybody.
20?
I have not heard. Yeah, that's what I would think. I have not heard anybody talk great about like. Well, I've heard people talk like it being a moment, but that's it.
Yeah, it's the aura, it's the crowd pop. Like the crowd engagement in that match is just on another level. It is. But um
Which is probably why they got it up there
and
because
The Rock. Got that mana coursing through his veins on the
yes,
WWE board of
sir.
directors. Alrighty, well
Uh,
that concludes our little wrestling fest here. I hope everybody enjoyed their WrestleMania weekend. We got some special things cooking on the fire for us coming up here. We're also going to be celebrating another 1 year anniversary. That means another award show coming at you. Um, you can also check us out on Saturdays with our sports show. You don't watch sports whenever they want, whatever they want on Wednesdays. Usually it's with Super Jazz
Super
and my
Jazz.
man Feo Grande Omari Ellis, who you can find on the internet, Twitch, and Twitter at Giotavi. That's Giotavi. Come on in. Stop on by.
Or day 240.
Streaming every day 240.
You know what that means. All right. And for Bill, I will say thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Adios. This.